Exploring Veterinary Toxicology, a conversational guide expanded with examples and updates. Let's try to understand veterinary toxicology from its roots, step by step. Ready? Yes, I've heard it's about poisons in animals, but it seems much deeper. Exactly. The word toxicology comes from the Greek toxikon, meaning poison, and logos, meaning study. Veterinary medicine is the science that looks after animal health, and veterinary toxicology blends both fields, focusing on poisons that affect not just livestock and pets, but even wild species and aquatic animals. So toxicology only focuses on chemicals? Mostly, but not only. It also covers ionizing radiation, like nuclear fallout affecting cattle or pets, biological toxins like snake venom, spider bites, or scorpion venom, fungal toxins known as mycotoxins, e.g., aflatoxin in moldy feeds, physical hazards like ingestion of sharp objects containing toxic metals. Wow, so it's truly comprehensive. The foundation. What is a toxicant? A toxicant is any harmful substance that disrupts normal functions of the body by being inhaled, ingested, absorbed through skin, or injected. Is there a difference between toxicant and toxin? Good catch. Yes. Toxin refers specifically to poisons from living organisms. For example, tetanus toxin from bacteria or botulinum toxin from spoiled canned food. Toxicant is the broader term. It includes man-made poisons like pesticides, heavy metals like lead, or factory chemical spills. And what about toxicosis? That's the result of being poisoned, like a cow suffering nitrate toxicosis after eating heavily fertilized pasture grass. Is it true that even water can be toxic? Absolutely. Water and oxygen are essential, but too much water causes water intoxication. It dilutes the sodium in blood, leading to brain swelling. Same with oxygen. Too high levels can damage the lungs, swelling, a condition called oxygen toxicity. Yes, his principle is still gold standard. All substances are poisons. The right dose differentiates a poison from a remedy. History. From observation to science. How did veterinary toxicology evolve? It began with people observing what animals avoided or suffered from. For example, sheep avoiding certain weeds, or cattle dying after eating wilted cherry leaves containing cyanide. When did it become formal science? In the early to mid 20th century, especially post-World War II. For instance, arsenic compounds used in sheep dips were later found to cause skin lesions in both animals and handlers. Any turning points? Yes, the rise of synthetic pesticides like DDT, industrial pollution, mercury in Minamata Bay, Japan, and feed contamination events, like melamine in pet food scandals, pushed governments and scientists to act systematically. Books and knowledge evolution. What role did books play? Huge role. Early books were adapted from human medicine. By the 1950s, veterinary-specific texts emerged. For example, Garner's Veterinary Toxicology, 1957, Osweiler's Clinical and Diagnostic Veterinary Toxicology, became a key textbook. Today, Gupta's Veterinary Toxicology is the go-to resource, covering everything from pesticide poisoning to nanotoxicology. And journals? Exactly. Journals like Toxicologic Pathology and Journal of Veterinary Diagnostic Investigation keep the field updated. Modern developments and scope. So, what does modern veterinary toxicology include? It's broader than ever. Some examples: food safety, detecting aflatoxins in milk and feed to prevent poisoning in humans and animals; environmental hazards, monitoring mercury in fish and dioxins in animal fat; climate change. Rising algal blooms produce more cyanotoxins, affecting livestock and wildlife. Pesticide residues, ensuring safe levels in eggs, meat, and milk. One Health approach, linking human, animal, and environmental health, for example, controlling zoonotic risks from mycotoxins. The risk paradigm, understanding exposure. How do we study these risks? Through a stepwise risk assessment. 1. Hazard identification, for example, discovering that bracken fern is carcinogenic to cattle. 2. Dose response, establishing how much nitrate in feed causes toxicosis in ruminants. 3. Exposure assessment, measuring how much pesticide enters a dog's system through treated lawns. 4. Risk characterization, quantifying risks like salmonella in raw pet food diets. 5. Risk communication, explaining risks to farmers and pet owners in simple terms. 6. Risk management, setting limits on contaminants like aflatoxin maximum residue levels in dairy feed. Does this apply to all species? Yes, but species differ. Cats, for example, lack certain liver enzymes, making them more sensitive to acetaminophen toxicity than dogs. Toxicokinetics and toxicodynamics. I've heard these terms, but what do they mean? Toxicokinetics is the journey of the toxicant inside the body, how it's absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted. Example, lead accumulates in bones over time. And toxicodynamics. It's what happens at the destination, the toxicant's effect on cells and organs. For example, organophosphates inhibit acetylcholinesterase, leading to nerve dysfunction and tremors. So, toxicokinetics is the travel, toxicodynamics is the action? Exactly. Experimentation and observations. How do scientists confirm toxicity? Multiple ways. Lab studies. Rats tested for safe levels of food additives. Field studies, investigating cattle deaths after eating contaminated hay. Cell culture, studying liver cells to see if a chemical causes oxidative stress. Case reports, documentation of chocolate toxicity in dogs. Post-mortem exams, confirming nitrate poisoning by chocolate brown blood in ruminants. Are there ethical concerns? Always. Studies follow strict guidelines, like the Guide for the Care and Use of Laboratory Animals. Alternatives like computer simulations and cell models are increasingly used. Practical applications. Where do we apply veterinary toxicology today? Everywhere. For example, farmers, diagnosing selenium poisoning in sheep. Pet owners, awareness about lilies being toxic to cats. Wildlife, investigating bird deaths from pesticide runoff. Vets, treating ethylene glycol antifreeze poisoning in dogs. Regulators, setting safe levels of veterinary drug residues in meat. Future of veterinary toxicology. What's coming next? Innovations everywhere. Green chemistry, designing safer, biodegradable pesticides. Omics technologies, using proteomics to detect liver damage early. Artificial intelligence, AI models predicting feed contamination risks. Climate monitoring, tracking mycotoxin-producing fungi in warming climates. Global surveillance, controlling diseases and toxins that move with global trade. Sounds like veterinary toxicology is only going to get bigger. It will, because it protects not just animals, but ecosystems and human health. It's an essential part of the One Health approach. Final thought. So, veterinary toxicology helps us understand risks and remedies of natural and synthetic toxins, keeps animals and humans safe, and protects the environment. Exactly. It is a bridge science that safeguards all life on Earth.